Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is the living definition of a gift that keeps on giving. No matter what I do, no matter how many interesting projects I come up with, this game always finds a way to draw me back in. And I'm all here for it. And this time, I wanted to dedicate a video to a demon who's captivated the SMT data mining community as of late. In no small part due to my coverage of her through clips and my innate guide. I am, of course, talking about the first form of SMT5's original waifu, Nuwa. I think it's pretty safe to say that Nuwa's first form was never a demon people look closely at, especially considering her second form's utility against the Demi-Fiend. However, this all changed when I saw my friend Dweeby pull off something I didn't even know was possible, and this snowballed into me making an entire innate skill directory, and even after that was officially published, I still discovered more about her, to the point where I don't even think any of my previous work can do her justice. So in this video, I'll be giving Nuwa's first form the coverage and love she deserves. And with that said, let's get into the guide. As a change of pace from my usual guides, I actually have two builds prepared for this video. This is because Nuwa actually has two attributes that make her special: her unique skill and her innate. Starting with her unique skill, Dancing Strike is 3 weak physical hits on one target with a greater chance to crit. I say weak instead of the game's medium because they're only 80 power, but the combined 3 hits actually make it power 240. Stronger than the severe Fizz Almighty skill Frykugel. And I am telling you this so you know not to take Atlus skill descriptions at face value. But what's more impressive is that each of those hits have a 30% extra crit rate like Brave Blade, actually giving it a higher crit rate than Brave Blade in retrospect because the dice is rolled 3 times. To help accommodate this, I gave her a build that essentially min-maxes Dancing Strike. Both Fizz Pleromas and Critical Zealot max out his damage potential on crit, and both Glee skills ensure that her crit rate is near guaranteed. As for the other two skills, Resist Fire is here to cover up her weakness, and Fizz Resistance is just something I like to have on all my demons, but you can easily replace that with either Charge or Impaler's Animus to increase its damage higher. But to show how broken this is, let's put Nuwa against a worthy opponent, Metatron. Keep in mind that all testing is done on Godborn normal difficulty, and on Godborn, Alan Rickman is level 150 with 271 vitality and 261 luck. Nuwa, however, outclasses him with 402 strength and 399 luck. What this equates to is a critical hit from Nuwa at +2 attack, dealing 1088 to 1198 damage per hit. Multiplied by the 3 hits, that's 3264 to 3595 cumulative damage, which would be higher if he were at -2 defense, but Metatron aggressively spams Dekaja and Dekunda, meaning having both is unreliable. And for crit rate, Nuwa has a 62% crit rate per hit, and a cumulative 94% crit rate across all 3 hits, making it so she has no problem cracking God's voice. But that's just the first build, and is only half of what makes Nuwa great. Yes, dear viewer, it's time to finally discuss the reason why you're likely here. Nuwa's innate skill, Firmament Restoration. The skill description states, when user resists or nulls an attack 2 times or more, adds 1 press turn icon to the user's next turn. The first thing to understand, and what took me and many others by shock, is that the 2 hits do not need to occur on the same turn. Meaning, if you hit Nuwa with an electric or dark gem once and wait 20 turns to strike her again, the effect won't trigger until you hit her again on that 20th turn. Also, despite the phrasing, it will only add 1 turn icon to the next turn, so if you hit her with 4 Elec or Dark Gems on 1 turn, she'd only get 1. Finally, the turn counter will persist through consecutive encounters in the overworld, but won't in the virtual trainer since that wipes all effects between fights. With all that in mind, the alternative build for Nuwa is to turn her into a full tank, with Resist Physical, Fire, Ice, and Light. In addition to Fierce Roar to draw the aggro and raise defense, Great Life Spring to raise her max HP, and Enduring Soul to survive one lethal attack. That leaves one empty skill slot, and while I chose to keep Dancing Strike since it's her best offensive option, you can alternatively give her Life Spring to raise her HP further, Killing Wind for a Piercing Force option, or maybe even Diarahan so she can keep herself eternally topped off. Regardless though, the most important part of this build is all of her resists, which allow her to trigger her innate off any skill that isn't Force. And paired with Luminescent Mirage and Intercalation, it can enable a 5.5 turn start if she's hit by a resistor null twice. But beyond even that, Nuwa has a shocking amount of defensive utility. At a vitality stat of 416, she's able to tank attacks like Godborn Beelzebub's Deathflies at a comfortable 198 damage, as well as only take around 215 damage with his piercing Zambarians. However, I realize that in this instance, Nuwa's vitality is higher than Beelzebub's magic, so let's fix that with a few examples. Up first is level 200 Shiva in the Virtual Trainer, who has a monstrous 679 magic, and does 528 damage to Nuwa on his first turn Tandava at +2 defense. However, if you remember my innate video, there are two characters who we can field to cut that damage. Ippon Dadara and Danu give a 32% damage reduction when Nuwa has a taunt effect and is at +2 defense, taking Tandava's damage down from 528 to 389. A pretty substantial cut if you ask me. But that's just the tip of it. Moving ahead in the Virtual Trainer to level 200 Satan, his Megiddo Arc is effective power 1192 because of the way the boss version scales. While this is strong enough to one-shot Nuwa, it only does 1500 damage while she's at +2 Rakukaja with a taunt effect. While that sounds bad, it's actually impressive compared to Nahobino taking a Megiddo Arc at -1 to Satan's attack for over 2k. And Nahobino has higher vitality than Nuwa in this instance. And for the grand finale, Tiamat's Annihilation Ray is power 2500, the second strongest attack in the game behind Boss Demi-Fiend's Gaia Rage. And with Ippon Dadara and Danu in the party, Nuwa takes 675 damage, compared to 933 damage without them. So in this instance, this specific team comp made the difference between life and death for Nuwa, and I find that to be honestly amazing. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you like what you saw here, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to help build a community, and until next time, remember that Agrid is still best girl, and this is Japhanator, signing off.